Hello, welcome back to Big Les's League and all rugby league experience. If you are watching on the YouTube, make sure to go ahead and click down below, subscribe. We are growing quite substantially on here, so make sure to become a part of the Big Les's League community. All of our socials, including our Instagram, TikTok, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all of that is in the description below as well. So make sure you become a big part of the Big Les's League community that is growing every single day. But without further ado, let's talk about our good friend of the show, Chadwick Townsend. It looks like he has been linked to a move with the Bulldogs. Obviously, has met with the Bulldogs reportedly a day ago, and it looks to be going there on a one-year deal, potentially starting from next year. Not signed till next year, I don't think. Not signed for next year. I don't think, Chad Townsend, but it looks like he'll be going to the Bulldogs to finish off his career there for 1 year or potentially to look to go to the Super League after that. Now, I don't really rate this move for the Bulldogs. For the Cowboys, they are trying to move towards the future. They've got Clifford there as well, who absolutely killed it against the Roosters, who looks like he's absolutely carving up in Q Cup at the moment and just waiting to get another shot in first grade. Obviously, will play this weekend. But he's obviously sitting in reserve grade there. He's a genuine first grader. Tom Dearden's going to be the future seven of the club as well. So you definitely don't want to keep a genuine first grader in Jake Clifford in reserve grade, but you'd also don't want to push back the development of Tom Dearden to transition into that seven role. And I feel like with Chad Townsend, whether he stays on a 1 year, 2 year deal, love Chad Townsend, but I feel like it is pushing back on the development of a guy like Tom Dearden, who you want to be, as I said, the future seven of the club. So I can get it from a Cowboys perspective. From a Bulldogs perspective, they're in a pretty similar boat here. You've got a guy like Toby Sexton, who's quite young, who's coming to the side. He's combined very well with Matt Burton in the past few games. They've won a lot of the games with him in the side. They start games better with him at seven as well. They look better as a football side. He suits that team. Toby Sexton in there in the number seven. Hutcho doesn't suit that side. That's why he's sitting in reserve gate at the moment. Chad Townsend, I feel like, is a very similar half. I'm not comparing Hutcho and Chad Townsend. What I am saying is they're both halves that do like to slow the game down a bit, and they do like to get to their kicks. I just feel like that Chad Townsend wouldn't suit the Bulldogs' style of play, but I also feel like would really push back on the development of Toby Sexton. You've got a guy who is ready in Toby Sexton to take the mantle, to be the seven of the club moving forward. You've also got a young guy in Mitch Woods in reserve grade as well. You're pushing back the development of both of those guys, in my opinion, if you do sign on Chad Townsend. I do think that it isn't worth it. Having Toby Sexton there, he is the plan. He is the future for the moment. So why would you push back on that? A guy that suits the style of play of the Dogs to bring in a guy like Chad Townsend. Unless Chad is playing reserve grade and he's a backup half in reserve grade, which I doubt because Chad Townsend's a first grader, it would be fucking awful for his legacy. If he goes to the Bulldogs next year and sits in New South Wales Cup for the entire season for his last year, I just don't think this move works. I don't think it's a happy marriage. And it sort of gets me thinking, are they thinking of Sexton more as a six and they want to move Burton into the centres and then potentially have Chad Townsend in there for 2 years? And then when Chad Townsend retires, Mitch Woods comes in and takes over at seven. That's the only logical reason I can see as to why they would want to bring in Chad Townsend for the next 1 to 2 years. If Chad Townsend comes in, do they want to move Sexton into the six and do they want to move Burton into the centres permanently? Burton has killed it at six this year. He has been unbelievable when he's been in that number six jersey. They've won a lot of games with him at six. His kicking game on last tackle is so threatening. He can punt the ball at least 70 to 80 metres per kick if they are trapped in their own end. He is an absolute weapon there in the six. His footwork suits the six as well. He's building combinations with his outside men on the left-hand side. Why would you interrupt that and move him into the centres? We saw him in the centres the other night against the Roosters. It did not look well. He got carved up, absolutely carved up there at centre. Wouldn't want to be trying that again. Just keep him in the 5'8 jersey where he's been killing it all year. He's gotten used to defensive combinations in that 5'8 jersey as well. Don't change it up. Don't bring Chad Townsend in and move Sexton into the number six. It's another halves pairing that realistically isn't going to work. It's just a 1-year plan that doesn't need to happen. Sexton has been killing it in the 7. You keep him there. You have Burton in the 6. That's the future halves pairing. And then if you want to bring Mitch Woods in, he probably comes in for Toby Sexton. Burton is your future 6. He's your future captain as well, or co-captain alongside Stephen Crichton as well. I just really, really am against the idea of Burton moving into the centres. I'm against the idea of Sexton moving into the 6, and having Chad Townsend in there for a year for Mitch Woods to come in and Sexton and Woods to be the halves pairing. I think I'd much rather have Burton in the halves because he has killed it in the halves this year and in years prior as well. So. It's not the move that I'd be making. It's the only idea that makes sense for me as to why they'd want to bring in Chad Townsend going into next year if the plan is to put Burton into the centres. I don't rate it. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments section below, but it's definitely not the move that I'd be going for. So what club would suit Chad Townsend? What club needs a Chad Townsend in there at the moment? You go through the ladder. Do the Tigers need a Chad Townsend at the moment? Jerome Luai is obviously going to be the 6 or the 7. Galvin's obviously killing it at the moment, so that's probably your halves pairing going into next year. Luai at the 7 with Galvin in the 6 or vice versa. They've got Aiden Caesar as an older half in backup. They've also got Jaden Sullivan as backup as well. They don't need a Chad Townsend. Canberra, Jamal Fogarty's obviously there at the moment. They're going to be having a little bit of a shit fight for the 6 jersey between KO Weeks and Ethan Strange. Maybe he goes there as backup, but I just don't think they need it with KO Weeks in there. So the Raiders don't really need him either. You go through a bunch of these clubs, maybe Melbourne as a backup to go there for a year. But again, I just don't feel like it'd be good for his legacy to go into New South Wales Cup for a year as his final year in the NRL. I just don't think that would really be the great end to his career. The Warriors at the moment, obviously, they might need a half, depending on if Sean Johnson retires at the end of the year. He's been at the Warriors before as well. Maybe that's an idea, but then again, I think that if Sean Johnson does retire at the end of the year, they've got Tamale Martin who can come in and do a job there in the number 7 for a year or can be their future 7 for the next few years as well. I think Tamale Martin's only 26, 27, so still got plenty of years left in him, could be even 28. I have to double check that one, but still got plenty of years left, I think, Tamale Martin, and he's been really good this year when he has been in the number 7. So I guess that's their plan. Just trying to think off the top of my head, clubs that really need a 7. There's not too many of them. I mean, the Titans have a real headache at the moment with their halves pairing. They've got a fly half coming in who realistically, it looks like he could be the 7 next year. Kieran Foran, I don't think signed on till next year. So maybe their plan is to bring that fly half in. And obviously play him in the number 7 jersey straight away. Maybe Chad Townsend could come in there and be a guy that starts the year in the number 7. They put the fly half into the number 6 or maybe into a 14 jersey just to get used to rugby league or maybe even into New South Wales Cup for a year before bringing him in. But then again, I'd just be re-signing Kieran Foran for a year and making him play that role. So Titans even, there's not too many clubs that need an older half at the moment. You think off the top of your head of a lot of clubs. Not too many clubs need a Chad Townsend at the moment. So, look, I don't know where the best fit for Chad Townsend is. I'd love to know what you guys think in the comment section below. Where do you think Chad Townsend would fit in for the last year of his career? Who needs an interim half for, development's sake, coming in and playing a year before he does retire or go to the Super League? I think there's a very real possibility that you do see Chad Townsend in the Super League going into next year. I think there's a real possibility he finishes his career over in England or in France or wherever he goes and signs. I think there's a real possibility that he won't be in the NRL in 2025. But let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. Is the Bulldogs the right move? Is there another club that I'm not thinking of that would be a great move for Chad Townsend? Let me know in the comment section below. Make sure to go ahead and subscribe. As I said, follow us on all of our socials that are in the description below and become a part of the big Les's League community. And we'll see you guys in the next one.